I broke one candle off screen. I'm sorry. Anyway, welcome back to Castlevania Legacy of Darkness.
I'm sorry, Lois, we have to start over. All right, everyone load up part 1.
Anyway, this is officially the back half of the game, which is the most different between campaigns and the most ambitious on the part of the developers. Reinhardt and Henry are the only characters who play through this level. This is the underground tunnel stage. It had a problem in the original game, though. So one very important change was made to it in Legacy of Darkness. The enemy spawn rates aren't so fucking obnoxious anymore.
How bad are we talking?
Okay, so the enemy that that was the problem, is about to be introduced in this cutscene, actually. Also, this is one of the only games in the series with an explanation for why water kills you. It's all poisoned water. So yeah, that's the thing.
You're also wearing like 50-pound armor in a lot of them, so swimming's probably pretty hard.
Oh yeah, arachnophobia warning, I suppose. The ladies have spiders for butts. Anyway, these fucking things would spawn in obnoxiously throughout the entire level. There would always be 2 of them on screen, and as soon as you had dispatched one of them, the other would be right there. No breathing room whatsoever. Which is a problem, because the level's laid out to be kind of explorative, and you barely had any room to explore. You know, it was only in specific areas of the level where the spiders wouldn't be constantly spawning. So now they do still infinitely spawn, but they do so slowly. Thankfully. So you can fight them off to give yourself some breathing room and then look around, you know?
If you land in the water, do you take some damage, or is that a instant kill?
It's an instant kill, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
it looks like they go down pretty easily too.
Well,
so.
I have an upgraded whip, so.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I think something I should have been asking earlier, since you mentioned the idea that the whip levels up similar to Bloodlines. Is it like Bloodlines, where if you get hit, you lose it?
No.
Okay, thank God.
You lose.
Infinitely better than Bloodlines.
Now, the thing about weapon upgrades and sub-weapon upgrades is that they are not retained in your save file. The game has no lives. Whenever you die, you have to revert to a save. It thankfully gives you a continue screen on the game over screen, which is something Symphony in the Night did not think to do. But you know,
so you'd have to load all the way back in again, and on PS1 that.
Yeah. But that was always an aspect of Symphony of the Night that was criticized.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, when you die or when you stop playing and reload a save later, you lose your weapon upgrades and your sub-weapon upgrades. Now, the game is designed to be, you know, sort of beatable in one sitting, so that's not an issue. But the thing about that is, like, while I was recording this, I was always reluctant to stop playing for the day.
Because it means losing all your shit.
If I had any upgrades active. So I would always wait until I'd had a particularly bad run at a level, and I started another level at, like, base level. So I'm like, I can stop here.
What we don't see is that after the end, Lewis has, like, 36 inches of bags under his eyes because he didn't fall asleep.
Well, it's a pretty short game, you know. I mean, Reinhardt's campaign here took 9 parts, but I cut it down to 6 when I played as Carrie. So it is very much a one-sitting, stage-by-stage game in the vein of, level 3 holy water, let's go.
See, this is something that I would argue that I finish in a day. Not necessarily in one sitting, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what kind of player you are. I mean, I'm the kind of person who, generally speaking, when I'm playing a game, I'm playing it in, like, an hour-long chunk. You know, I'm not. It's very rare, especially these days, where I am playing a game for 4 or 5 hours at a time, extended.
Yeah. But, you know, that's just another reason I want this game to come to NSO. Save states.
So save states, yeah.
Yeah, so you can just save the game wherever it is you want to stop. and not have to worry about beating it all in one sitting.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the N64 games eventually got a collection, because, I mean, if they're gonna port Haunted Castle, like, I mean, this isn't that out of left
that really
field.
is just threw everything up in the air, didn't it? It's like you remade Haunted Castle of all games.
Well, I mean, the Advanced Collection also had Dracula X on the SNES, so...
That was
weird.
weird.
But they left Castlevania Legends out of the Anniversary Collection? Really?
Because non-canon was.
Well, I mean, it's on NSO, so we can still play it, but come on. Well, I mean, Kid Dracula's non-canon. They included Kid Dracula.
No,
Come on.
Kid Dracula is a baby Alucard who is canon.
It's just kind of insulting that they left out Castlevania Legend, an okay if mediocre game, but included Castlevania The Adventure, which is dog shit.
Sorry, Lewis, Castlevania Legends is considered too woke in today's climate.
Why? Does there exist one woman?
Some people would say that, yes. It's the only game with a female Belmont. That's its claim to fame.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not particularly...
I only liked Castlevania before it was woke.
It's just like, you know, it's an okay-ish game. It's kind of like easy to break, especially once you realize that you can just jump into a pit and respawn at a checkpoint with your super mode back active. But you know, and it had some good ideas, just not very good overall design. It's fun enough to play, especially with speed hack on. All of the GB... Oh, damn it.
Shit, Reinhardt.
There goes my upgrade.
Hey, you can take a break now.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Oh, cool. Upgrade. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Why did I pick up that axe?
You know,
God
I always
damn
thought
it.
that the axe and knife got a bad rep in the Castlevania 2D games. Like, having a ranged option that goes all the way across the screen, or attacks vertically, in a game where your area of damage is so limited, is pretty powerful, all things considered.
Off the top of my head, the only time I ever find a general use for the axe is against the first boss in the first Castlevania. Because after then, you have easier access to either the cross or the holy water.
I mean, I haven't played a lot of the old 2D games, but just speaking in general, like from my experience with the open-ended games, like Aria of Sorrow has the bone, which is effectively just the axe, and that's not bad for that point of the game, because being able to attack above you is just really good. You know, it's an area of... Because the holy water is good because of its like multi-hit shenanigans, but the cross only just attacks in front of you. Trying to hit something above you in Castlevania is a pain in the ass. So, yeah, I don't know. I also just think being able to snipe things from all the way across the screen is also pretty good.
Do you think that's why they gave Soma weapons in Aria of Sorrow that just have like this overarching swing?
Yes.
To like circumvent
hit things
that?
above you. Yes.
Yeah.
That and because a lot of the weapons in Symphony of the Night were too mechanically similar. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the things in Reinhardt's tunnel stage is that it has multiple sun and moon doors. You only need one of the sun and moon doors, though. The others are just optional shit. This one has a knife and a shop contract, which is not useful. Now, I might have accidentally screwed myself out of the good ending here because I opened all of the doors. However, I then immediately died and rolled back to a point where I hadn't opened the doors yet.
Just as God intended.
How many in-game days do you get to get the good ending?
I've heard 8. I've heard 16.
Because it seems like the clock goes pretty damn fast. All
an
things
hour
considered.
is 30 seconds by that clock. So
hold on.
it
I
takes
gotta get out
about
the fucking
12
calc-
minutes for a day to pass.
Okay. And then you said 8 days?
8, 16, something like that. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean,
you know what? Why am I guesstimating this? I can just look it up. Okay.
So if 12 minutes is a day, 8 days. That's only an hour and a half to beat the game. So, on your pace right now,
okay,
you definitely aren't getting it.
So, people are apparently confused, but 16 days is the one that pops up at the top of my Google search.
So the answer is we don't know.
192, so that's like 3-ish hours, a little bit more.
Sounds about right.
I'm glad there's one thing that BrainScratch can contribute to society is figuring out how many days you have for the good ending of Castlevania Legacy of Darkness.
I mean, like, I beat the game. Like, this is a 9-part playthrough as Reinhardt, so obviously the game, the footage lasts more than 3 hours, but, like, I die a lot, too, on this particular playthrough. So,
does, like, the timer stop, or, like, when you're, like, transitioning to different rooms or pausing the game?
When you're pausing the game, it stops, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like whenever you're talking to someone or in the shop menu or something like that, it looks like it stops.
Talking is always a free action.
Anyway, the back half of the game is the most, like, heavily altered part of the game, because a lot of it was just straight up unfinished or didn't run well. So, but the tunnel stage is essentially the same level design it was in Vanilla 64, just with the enemy spawn rates, like, severely dialed down. I say severely dialed down, but you still see the enemies spawning in quite a lot, right?
I'm trying to remember how much knockback you get when you get hit in this game, because...
Knockback? Oh,
yeah.
I think you don't really get knocked back, but you do get knocked down. Thank you. Very good timing.
The section there on the red, like, platform you were on would be terrifying in a 2D Castlevania game.
No, past me. What are you doing? God damn it. I just realized that I jumped back to the beginning of the level.
Oh, no!
That is not why this part is so long, by the way. I'm just gonna, like, reload my save to before the elevator. But I was like, danger, rock crusher, no entry. No, I'm literally at the beginning of the level. God damn it. You better believe I was hitting myself when this happened.
With a whip?
No. Those are expensive. What are you talking about?
You always make a makeshift whip.
I have actually looked up the price of, like, bull whips on Amazon, because I was thinking of, like, I don't know, cosplaying as a Belmont at a convention.
I was thinking of trying to lower my rent.
But, it's like $200 for a good one.
$200 for a whip?
Yeah. Like, for one that's actually leather. Damn right.
Actually, because now you got me curious, because, you know, these parts are pretty chunky. Gotta fill the time anyway. Let's see what the budget would be like to be a fucking Walmart Belmont. So $200 for the whip, right?
You can get costume whips, but they're pretty bad.
No, genuine article has to be an actual whip. All right, when in doubt, this my Amazon search history is gonna be really fucking weird. Iron Cross, or something like that, or Magic Cross.
I had to give up my weapon upgrade for that. I feel like because it is a substantial damage upgrade when you get the when you get the whip upgrades. You know, you want to keep the whip upgrades for as long as you can.
Actually, like what is the cross in Castlevania modeled after? 'Cause it's not really a cross. It's a cross, but not like a Christian cross. It's an X or cross. What the fuck's the name of that?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, Castlevania clearly doesn't care, because, like, when Leon
it's just supposed to be cool.
When Leon Belmont uses it, he'll spawn, like, the correctly shaped Christian cross with all of his powers, you know?
Yeah, like, that's Grand Cross.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about how messed up it is that Christians wear, especially Catholics, wear a dead man on their bodies all the time?
But isn't it about what the dead man represents?
Yeah, but it's also kind of morbid when you think about it. Like, because you don't, like, okay, if you didn't grow up Catholic, you might not get it. But as somebody who has grown up Catholic, like, it's not just like Jesus lying on a cross. It's also like there's fucking like holes in his hand and blood leaning everywhere, and he's limping. It's like, okay, that's not just like a symbol. He's like you're literally watching a corpse hang in front of you. It's like, it's kind of messed up, man. Not gonna lie. Like, and people will like have big crosses in front of their dinner tables. Like, I'm eating here. I don't want to look at that.
I'm posting this in the Discord because I misinterpreted what this cross was supposed to say. But it is a cross that is supposed to say God is good. But all I immediately saw was God good.
God good.
Don't you want God good?
Oh, yeah,
anyway, that's pretty sure what the Belmonts use. So that's $10. So $200, $10 for the cross. So we're at $210. Next is
Eternal
the knife.
salvation, priceless.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, that tangent's somewhat relevant to this game, because like, this was before the Netflix Castlevania we're going to be super cynical about religion phase. So Reinhardt here is actually really religious, like openly so in his dialogue.
I mean, that makes sense. This game takes place in the 1800s, so, or 1700s or whatever, where, you know, a lot of people were in Europe were super religious. I never did finish watching the Castlevania TV show. Did the first 2 seasons didn't talk too much about religion from what I remember? Did they, or am I, it's been forever. Am I just misremembering these?
There's the fact that like the entire situation was like caused by the church being heavy into witch hunting.
Oh right, yeah. The priests were assholes. Okay,
yeah.
I remember.
And
that.
then there's Sifa Belmont's thing about the speakers being the enemies of God because of the Babel story.
Okay, you're bringing back a bunch of memories of that to me, because now I'm remembering there was that asshole priest, and then he's like, "Oh God, save me!" and then they end up killing him in the church or whatnot. And I think he says something like, "I'm in the house of God. You can't hurt me here," or some shit like that.
The thing about the speakers being like not like on good terms with God or the church is interesting, because in the game lore, Sifa Belnades is, believe it or not, a magician who works for the church. Because the church in the game universe is surprisingly chill about magic, even though they still burn people as witches.
I mean, if they're fighting literal vampires, then I think they're okay with more magic than fish and bread multiplication or
also
water
like
skates.
For the sake of not misinterpreting, can we just shorthand it to mage? Because magician makes me think they're doing parlor tricks at some children's birthday party.
All right.
Kind of.
Now I'm going to generate fireballs. Oh shit, we just lit Timmy on fire.
Your wallets are getting $30 lighter. Throwing knives I found on Amazon are $40.
Well, those
for
are easy
one
to get.
knife?
For like a set of 6.
Yeah. I mean, I bought a set when I was in my edgy knife collecting phase. It's fun.
I mean, or hear me out, okay? You take a kitchen knife, all right, that you can get for $5 at Target.
And then it throws off Target because it's not balanced for that.
Yeah, it's not.
Come on.
I thought we were talking about cosplaying.
Also, can you?
Some shit.
No, we're talking about like what would it cost to be somewhat of a Belmont, but yeah, you got to work with what you got. So that's why we call it the budget Belmont, or Walmart Belmont.
Also, you know, when you have like specially made like throwing knives as a costume piece, you know, it looks like a costume piece because they're so different from a regular knife. You walk around with a kitchen knife, you just look like a psycho.
Also, where are you buying an individual knife for $5?
I'm thinking more of like a table knife, not like a like.
That's what I mean. Like a table knife is usually just sold in like sets that you're spending $60+ for.
Well, I mean, you're not looking in the right spot, I guess. Why? Who was digging up? Okay, listen. Finding chicken in the walls is one thing. Roast beef in the ground, dug up with a shovel, is another. All right. Listen.
I mean, Ted, a wall is just vertical ground.
You know, people badmouth the Castlevania 64 all the time, but I think it's got just the right amount of Castlevania in it, you know?
Anyway, if we're talking about a budget, adventurer, throwing knives are not what you want to be going for, because they break. Not that, you could have a well-made knife. Let's just say you've got a well-made knife for normal knifing and then for throwing. The fact that you are throwing it, you're putting a lot more pressure on areas that you might not necessarily want to have pressure, like the hilt or the tip or whatnot. So it's more likely to break, is one. Second, what if you throw it into a cliff and you lose it? Now you're down $40 for a throwing knife. So I think if you are a budget-minded Castlevania adventurer, you want to stick to something that's a little bit less wasteful. Like maybe a bow and arrow if you need a ranged option, because individual arrows are much cheaper.
Okay, so in regards to the axes, is it safe to assume they're just tomahawks?
Yeah,
Probably.
more or less.
I mean, the Netflix show just had him throw a regular-ass axe, and that was the representation that subject
That was it. I always took them as tomahawks, or for the sake of simplicity, we're going to refer to them as tomahawks. And unfortunately, this is where it gets pricey, because the cheapest I'm seeing is a set of 2 for $38.
Oof.
Everything else is beyond that, and it's only in sets of 1. So if you want a reasonable amount of axes for your budget Belmont purposes, you're looking at maybe minimum $90.
Okay, but here's where you can save the money, all right? You break into a hotel, and you steal all the hotel Bibles, all right? And then you can use the Bible subweapon as much as you want.
Well, I was gonna say because that's not even a matter of. I thought you were talking about getting a budget option or budget alternative for the tomahawks, because the Bible, I was gonna agree. Yeah, you just steal a hotel Bible.
You steal 30, because you can't read the same Bible more than once in the world of Castlevania. Oh no! You read as soon as you read Genesis, then the pages fall straight out, burned to
I would
dust.
think the cheapest option is obviously the holy water, because the holy water is only holy water because it's blessed.
Yeah, so you just have to find a priest who can put up with your bullshit bringing in those giant office water coolers.
Jesus, Richter, another mason jar.
In point of fact, holy water from an actual church has oil and stuff in it. It's weird.
Yeah, they do that so that because if you're in a church, they'll often have a little bowl of it that you walk in and everybody puts their hands into it.
Don't drink the shit. It tastes awful.
Yeah. It's also nasty now that I'm thinking about it. It might be blessed, but it's certainly got diseases.
Oh, dear. We just saw some Medusa heads poking their heads out in the corner of the screen. I ran past them before they could do anything to me.
Watch out. They're trying to drink the holy water.
Anyway. Oh, that would be a TikTok challenge in Castlevania's castle. It's just oh man, can you drink 3 bottles of holy water in 30 seconds?
It's me, your boy, Medusa Head, and I'm about to drink this holy water.
Now,
what's up, guys? It's your boy Flea Man here. Welcome to part 375 of my Minecraft Let's Play.
Now, you can tell that I was getting a bit tired of this level by this point, because I fucking was jumping everywhere just to get that little extra burst of speed. Me, the backdashing to run everywhere looks stupid guy. I was doing that. That's the sign that an area is too open for its own good with me. Is that I start actually using the things that are slightly faster. Anyway, this boss wasn't here in the original game.
Oh, this is a boss?
Notice that I didn't save the game before going in.
It's fine.
As a result, I was able to beeline it right here.
She has
without
a spider
actually,
for hair.
And for a butt.
But more importantly, for hair. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Okay, but think about it for a second. Imagine, she's a spider woman who also has spider hair. Do you ever see any people who have people-shaped hair? I don't think so. So even among spider people, this lady's weird.
Well, right? I don't know. There might be a Shin Megami Tensei demon that's like that.
At least a 40% chance.
Anyway, I got really daring here and managed to defeat the first phase of this boss on my first attempt without any trouble at all. which is surprising because the first phase of the boss has an instant kill attack that I didn't know how to escape before I fought this boss. So, by complete fluke, my first run at the boss completely trounced the first phase, and then just like I had to try 5 or 6 times to get past it a second time.
You imagine just opening your satchel and just shuffling through 6 roast beefs.
Why couldn't you drink the poison curing thing, but you could eat an entire roast chicken?
Web swing.
Oh my.
Anyway, like I said, this boss wasn't here in the original Castlevania 64 release. Neither was the boss that Kerry fights at the end of the underground waterway. They both got a specific, character-specific, unique boss added to their
See, that attack is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that attack's great.
It's so over the top.
Eat some meat, you stupid fool.
I'm trying to.
No,
That's why I keep putting you in the webs.
I'm not pausing the game to heal. I should be, but I didn't, and I'm gonna die for it now. I like how the boomerang hit the boss a second time while I was already tied up.
You were really close, too.
Oh, that was just enough to kill you, it looks like.
Yep. Anyway, I had to try to fight the boss a couple of times to get back to that point again. Because
that's always the worst in games, where it's like, oh man, this isn't that hard, and then you die at the end, and suddenly the first half's now giving you trouble. It's like, what the hell's wrong with me?
Anyway, while the boss is still in the wall, it does this. I think you can break out by wiggling the analog stick, but if you don't, it just kills you, no matter how much health you have. And it poisons you, apparently.
Well then.
Anyway, yeah. So I made my way back here without opening the other 2 doors, and I actually saved outside the boss room this time. Pride goes before the fall, you know. And now we're actually going
I thought summer came before the fall.
Anyway, you might be wondering why the boss fight at the end of the level has to have a sun door out of it. Well, the reason for that is the boss itself is through a door that you would normally have walked through to trigger the second Rosa cutscene at the end of the level. So because they added a boss to that moment, they had to put a sun door outside they had to keep the sun door that was already outside the boss room and add a second sun door to the end of the room, so that they guarantee that it was still sunlight when the cutscene triggers, because the cutscene, well, it kind of needs sunlight to work, you see, so it would just be fucking weird if it happened at night. Anyway,
because theoretically you could be in this fight until it became
theoretically
nighttime.
yeah.
Although that would suck if you got to nighttime during the boss fight, and then there's a sun door immediately after, and you have to use a card or wait.
Oh. Anyway. Oh, god damn it. This thing always gets me with a stupid web
and bring it around town.
Yeah,
that's to your knowledge, there's no way to break out of that, like, before you're taken on the ride.
You might be able to if you wiggle the analog stick really fast, but I hadn't realized that was what you needed to do to break out of things until I was playing as Carrie and Cornell. So, I get caught by a lot of this shit. That boomerang coming back for the second hit again while I'm still tied up. I love it.
Yeah, that takes out like 30% of your health. That's a damaging. I mean, if it's a big attack, so I imagine it makes sense that it punishes you for getting hit by it.
I actually like the bosses in this game. It's a little like unusual for a 3D game of the era to have good boss fights.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like Zelda.
Anyone for tennis?
Yeah, the bosses in Ocarina of Time aren't great.
They're more like puzzles than bosses, and that's something that Soul Reaver would do a lot of too.
What we consider the most interesting boss in Ocarina of Time?
I don't really like any of them. Like, the water thing's annoying, the Phantom Ganon's annoying, the
What about
evil twins
was
are
it
annoying.
Volvagia, the snake in Fire Temple?
Yeah,
That
Volvagia.
one's fine.
Yeah, I didn't mind that one.
I like how the boss drops a sun card just in case you get stuck inside between two sun doors.
Goma's all right, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. They're not good.
The fact that we're struggling to think of examples is probably proving the point.
It's difficult to think of games with boss fights that don't like require like their own boss specific mechanics rather than the actual game's combat system, you know. Anyway, this is why we needed sun doors to reach this cutscene. Because Rosa can't stand being a vampire. So she's just gonna like pull a Lenore. Although unlike Lenore, she doesn't just disintegrate in half a second flat. She actually takes a while to steam up. Now, I like Reinhardt's justification for doing this. He's like, God forbids suicide, which is something that I was told when I was a kid, actually.
I mean, why should we be attached to this character we've met once and who was pouring blood on flowers?
The idea is that Reinhardt's too sentimental to kill her because she looks like a beautiful woman. That's totally sentimentality and not something else. But yeah, there is supposed to be like a heartwarming romance going on between these two characters. But we see Rosa 3 times throughout the game before the ending, which, to be fair, is more than we see of Malice or Charlie Vincent. Or Actrice over in the Carrie story. Maybe about the same amount of times we see Ortega over in Cornell's story. There are a lot of characters that we barely see in this game.
I was not ready for such a softie. I don't know why that stuck out to me.
I actually like Rose as a character, and for some reason she has the most detailed face in the game. Because they have like close-ups of her face during the ending and stuff.
Dracula's castle has central air? What?
What? You don't know? You don't know how much technology Dracula's castle traditionally has going on? That was a major plot point in the Netflix show.
It's also in every Castlevania too.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Central air? What
Just
does it have?
giant mechanical contraptions.
Yeah, but listen. There's something
There's a
different
fucking
about like a
clock tower in all
clock.
the games.
Yeah, okay, but a clock tower full of gears and crap is different than having AC. It's
He
just like,
also
okay,
has,
there's
like-
just a fridge behind Dracula's throne.
He's gotta drink something, Ted.
He's
like
got that glass. It's fine.
Like, a long-standing aspect of Dracula's character in this series is that he's an ageless immortal with lots of, like, long-forgotten knowledge and science going on in his castle. That's why he's got Frankenstein's monster in there.
He also has a lot of free time.
Yeah, but vampires are cold. Like, wouldn't he want central heating instead of central air? He's in the freaking mountains in Transylvania. It's cold there. Well,
I mean,
whatever.
You know, if he
Only
wants
Dracula
to keep
knows Dracula's preferences.
if he wants to keep a stock of live humans in his castle to drink from, he kind of needs to take care of them, you know?
Yeah, they have to be refrigerated.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Anyway, the central air stays.